Introduction. In the summer of 1917, the British forces on the Western Front were preparing for a massive offensive aimed at breaking through German-occupied Belgium. They hoped to crush the German resistance in one decisive strike. However, fate had other plans, and the bloody aftermath that followed would leave a mark on history. The situation on the front. The Allied powers were growing desperate. Several costly offensives on the Western Front had failed to move the stubborn trench lines, and mutinies rocked the French army. To the east, the Russian front was collapsing, and Germany's unrestricted submarine warfare threatened Britain's vital supplies. In April, the United States had joined the war, but it would take time for their involvement to make an impact. In this dire context, British commander Sir Douglas Haig believed a bold plan could turn the tide. He envisioned a grand offensive, starting near the Belgian town of Ypres, that would dislodge German forces and cripple their submarine bases on the coast. Underground preparation and the explosive. Beginning for 2 years, British engineers had been secretly tunneling beneath German positions along the Messines Ridge. Their goal? To lay explosives. On June 20, underground preparation and the explosive beginning. On June 7, 1917, the plan was set into motion. The largest man-made explosion in history at the time rocked the front. Over 1 million pounds of explosives were detonated, creating craters that swallowed entire sections of the German defenses. The sound of the explosion was heard as far as London, and around 10,000 German soldiers were buried instantly. Following this, British artillery unleashed a massive barrage, and infantry surged forward. In just a few days of fierce fighting, the British forces seized the Messines Ridge. However, this spectacular success was only the beginning. Haig wanted more, a complete breakthrough. But nature and time were about to intervene. The deadly delay. Instead of capitalizing immediately on their momentum, Haig delayed the next phase of the offensive for almost 7 weeks. The British High Command spent this time reorganizing under a new general, Sir Hubert Gough. Unfortunately, the Germans used this time to strengthen their defenses. As British soldiers prepared to launch their next attack, heavy rains began to fall. The terrain near Ypres was swampy to begin with, but the rains turned the entire battlefield into a quagmire. On July 31, 1917, the long-awaited British attack began, and from the outset, the situation was grim. Tanks became stuck in the mud, artillery was difficult to move, and soldiers waded through waist-deep sludge. Machine guns and artillery fire cut through advancing troops, resulting in a massive toll. By the end of the first day, 27,000 British soldiers had become casualties. For all that bloodshed, only a small gain of 18 square miles was achieved. The German defenses, though battered, had largely held. The Battle of Mud. The rains continued throughout August, turning the battlefield into an ocean of mud. Movement was nearly impossible, and even the lightest artillery pieces took hours to reposition. Men, horses, and equipment alike were swallowed by the mud. In this chaos, British troops launched a series of disorganized assaults, all of which were met with fierce German resistance. Despite these conditions, Haig was determined to press on. On August 16th, a fresh attack was launched, but it quickly collapsed under brutal counterattacks. Thousands of soldiers drowned in the mud, unable to escape. Many frontline units were decimated, but Haig's resolve did not waver. Plumer takes command by September. It was clear that Gough's aggressive approach was not yielding results. Haig turned to Sir Herbert Plumer, the general who had successfully led the attack on Messines Ridge. Plumer favored more methodical, limited advances, and he soon got to work. On September 20th, after weeks of preparation and another heavy artillery barrage, British troops advanced once more. Plumer's strategy proved effective. The British made significant gains, but each victory came at a horrific cost. Over 21,000 British soldiers were killed, wounded, or captured in this phase alone, for only a few square miles of ground. The final push for Passchendaele. The fighting dragged on into October, and the focus of the offensive shifted to the small village of Passchendaele. German defenses were crumbling, but the cost of each British advance was staggering. On October 12th, Canadian forces joined the fray, attempting to seize Passchendaele itself. They were met with hellish conditions and suffered heavy losses. By November 6th, after months of relentless fighting, the Canadians finally captured the ruined village of Passchendaele. However, by then, the town had lost any strategic importance, and the offensive came to an end 4 days later. Conclusion: a Pyrrhic victory. The Battle of Passchendaele, also known as the Third Battle of Ypres, ended in a costly victory for the British. They had suffered 275,000 casualties, while the Germans had lost over 200,000. Though the Allies had gained some ground, the offensive had failed to achieve its grand objectives, and the war continued. The battle left a lasting legacy of tragedy. It became a symbol of the horrors of World War I? Not.